It's abdication, peace is inherent. The keeper's sons will rule the nation. The royal succession, Estolian traditions, promises we revere, contentment instead of fear. Their parents' abdication.
When Zacharias made his promise to deity, he in turn received many promises from deity. While happiness in marriage was not one of those promises, history demonstrates that this is one of the axioms in our nation, that all of the sons and daughters of Zacharias, if they are willing to live up to his promise to deity, will experience a deep and abiding marital happiness that will transcend death. The darker side of this coin, taught to all acolytes, are the consequences for the sons of Zacharias unwilling to make this promise. Those who go on to marry outside the traditions of the faith often find a type of happiness. Those who spurn marriage entirely, who are still single on their 31st birthday, discover how immutable the laws are that govern all Estolians, both devout and estranged. No Estolian will find desire for or pleasure with any woman if they do not wed before they are 31. In return for this, deity will introduce each man to his Kali before time expires, if he is willing to be led by the spirit. Adio of marriage.
Wraith parked her car and sighed. It was time to begin another day in the dull grind towards oblivion. As she turned the car off, she had to admit that her job wasn't that bad. She did, after all, get to work with Eve. And working with him was anything but dull. The job was dull, but she wouldn't quit as long as she could work with him. She pulled down the sun visor and flipped open the mirror. She frowned at her reflection. Yesterday was her 24th birthday. When her half-sister, at barely 18, got married, Wraith decided that there was no way she would be like her sister. She wouldn't marry for money or looks or prestige. She was going to meet and marry the perfect man at the age of 23 for love and only love, and they would live happily ever after. She didn't expect to reach the age of 24 having never even been in a meaningful relationship. She knew she was passably pretty, or at least not ugly, and she had been on a few dates. But, when the men she went out with assumed she would have sex with them as a natural end to an evening, she became wary of invitations. The last date she had was with the younger brother of her sister's fifth husband. She had ended up walking home from that unpleasant evening. His scathing words as she walked away continued to echo around her head. "It's the 80s, Wraith. Why the hell are you saving your virginity?" For Wraith, having sex with a man was something to approach with care. She could still remember when her sister gave up her virginity. Willow had shared everything she hated about the experience with her impressionable 10-year-old half-sister. After her sister's confidences, the entire concept of sexual intimacy left her with a vague feeling of insecurity and fear. No man had ever inspired her to active wanting, she just could not overcome the memory of her sister's shared experience. The few times she went on dates, she was called frigid when she did not respond to her escort's kisses. And, she thought to herself, as she stared at her blue-green eyes in the mirror, perhaps they were right? Perhaps she was frigid. Her caramel hair and over-large eyes and two full lips were not to the tastes of many men. Her hair fell in thick abundance to just above her waist, straight as rain, and with about the same amount of character. Most days she twisted it into a knot at her nape and ignored it. Flipping the sun visor up, she got out of the car and looked up at the 14-story building. Jenner Corporation was her life now, she mused. 4 years she had been working there, and while she was very good at her job, so were 1,000 others. She had a sinking suspicion life was going to go downhill from this point onward. Walking towards the building, she tried to shake off the mood of introspection. What was making her restless? Could it be that she had just turned 24 and all her plans to marry at the perfect age of 23 were so much fairy dust? Or it could be the birth of her sister's third daughter on Wraith's birthday was making her restless, anxious to be a mother someday, too. Little Misty. Her sister's newest daughter. Birthdays and her sister's marital exploits always seemed to make her uncomfortable, especially because she had so little success in the romance department for herself. She opened the glass door into the lobby of the Jenner Corporation and donned the most important accessory she owned, her smile. She crossed the lobby and greeted the receptionist.
Hello, Jessica. Did you have a nice weekend?
Jessica's smile was brilliant.
It was lovely. Sam and I went to the doctor after work on Friday, and he confirmed I'm pregnant.
Wraith passed a few pleasantries and then moved over to the bank of elevators. One opened immediately when she pressed the up button and she stepped inside feeling marginally better. The elevator doors opened to the wide plush carpeted hallway of the executive level. She walked briskly towards her office. As she turned the corner of the hall, she slowed down when she saw two of the executives standing outside her office door. Kenneth Hutton and Amanda Cole were speaking with Delilah Rand, the executive assistant to the CEO of Jenner Corporation. All three turned to her, wearing solemn expressions. Wraith opened her mouth to ask them what was going on, when Delilah, her tone gentle, said,
"Sorry to have to tell you this, Wraith, but I just got a phone call from Eve's wife, Larissa. He was driving to the office this morning when he had a heart attack. Honey, he's dead."
Eve was her boss and about 2 rungs below the CEO. She could barely comprehend the fact that he was gone, that he would never fill the office with his vibrant presence, and that she had an empty void in her heart and soul that would never be filled again. Kenneth Hutton said to her, his tone blunt.
"We had plans to reorganize within the next 3 months anyway, and Eve was going to be offered an early retirement bonus. Now that he's gone, we'll expedite the process."
His words percolated through her frozenness and she blurted out,
"I'm laid off?"
A sharp nod of his head was her answer.
"Probably, but we'll still need you this week and next. You'll have to clear Eves' calendar, shift his appointments to other executives. Marshall Jenner wants you to know that we'll be looking through our openings to see if we can find you an alternative placement within the company while you wrap up Eves' business. If we can't find you another position, at the end of 2 weeks we'll give you a generous severance package and, if possible, a lead on another job working for a similar corporation."
Delilah handed her a piece of paper.
"For this morning, honey. Follow the guidelines on this paper as to where to send all of Eve's appointments. Don't bother to reschedule anything until later. We'll give you a better list as soon as we can so you can start rescheduling appointments after lunch."
Oh, she fights